Hi, this is David Bliven, Bronx and Westchester divorce attorney with another episode of Lessons from the Divorce Wars. So I get questions every so often from potential clients like, why do you charge for a consultation? Especially when people are shopping around for a divorce or family law attorney, and some attorneys charge for consultations and some don't. And it's the instinct of any consumer to say, wait a second, if somebody's offering something for free and somebody else is going to provide the same service and charge for it, why wouldn't I take that which is free? That just doesn't compute with some people. And I get a lot of people that just, when they hear, oh yeah, Dave Bliven, he charges for consultations, they just immediately hang up the phone and go to the free consultation attorneys without stopping and asking that key question, why the difference? Okay, well, I'll answer. I actually give people things in the consultation. So in other words, they come in, they get free copies of my books. Number two, they actually get an assessment of their case. So I sit down and I go through with them if they have a child support issue or a spousal maintenance issue. Those are potentials. I go through the calculations with them. I let them know this is what the presumptive numbers are. I explain that to them. I explain to them this is my assessment of asset or property distribution. Here's what I think the court's going to do. Here's what potential settlement options are with you. If people schedule a longer case strategy session, that allows that much more time to go through those things with people, and we can actually even start planning some kind of strategy for either a potential hearing or trial and or for settlement purposes. You're not going to get that with free consultations. So you schedule, on the other hand, a free consultation. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get an attorney that's really, really busy because they're a volume person, because let's face it, if you think it out, if an attorney was doing 10 free consultations a day, or 5, or a handful of free consultations, they only work for about 8 hours a day, right? So how many slices of their day do you think that they can give away for free and still pay a staff, office rent, all the other expenses, their salary, et cetera, et cetera? It doesn't really make sense. So the only way attorneys can really give away free consultations is if they're volume people, so they do really quick consultations and they're predicated upon having a really high caseload, 100, 200 or more cases. The minute you give them your hard-earned cash, they'll forget your name, they may even forget your file. And those are the attorneys that, you call them on the status of your case. Boy, you can't get them on the phone to save your life. You send them emails. They're not going to respond to your emails because they're way too busy. The other thing that you're going to get invariably with people that give away free consultations, they give away their services for free because they have to. No one else is hiring them of quality. If you can afford a good attorney that's going to charge good rates, go with it. Like if you're earning 6 figures and above in the greater New York City area, you can afford a good attorney. So go with that. On the other hand, if you're not making that kind of money, you get what you can with the money that you have, but just with the proviso that, you're going with the volume people, you're not going to get quality. So you trade off one for the other. You're either going to get a quality attorney or you're going to get a quantity attorney, but it's very unlikely that you're going to get both. So just know that going in. So if your thing is, hey, I want a free consultation, no ifs, ands, or buts, okay, know that you're trading quality for quantity. Know that going in. And if you're fine with that, and or that's all you can afford, go with it. The other thing to bear in mind is if you go with the free consultations, just know that when it goes, for a contested litigation, contested trials, something along those lines, those attorneys, because they're volume people, they're not going to be able to devote enough time to actually properly prepare your case. So, if you have a real simple case, no kids, no assets, no property, no potential for alimony, et cetera, then maybe you're better off going with a cheap attorney. I don't know. To me, I still think, even if I'm going, for an accounting issue, I want a good accountant. I don't want to hire somebody that is fresh out of accounting school. But everyone has to make their own decisions. But if you have even the slightest potential that your case is going to turn into a contested matter, you really want to think hard about whether it's worth it for you to trade quality versus quantity. Just word to the wise, don't be that person that says, oh crap, I have a trial in 1 month and it's clear now my attorney does not have time to properly prepare my custody trial and I'm about to lose my kids. And now I got to scramble around and try and find a good attorney. Well, good attorneys might not be available at that point. Oh well. Word to the wise. If you're looking for other answers to questions like these, check out my blog. You'll find it at blivenlaw.net/blog. See you next time.